Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Too early.
3 cars whenever I come out. 3 cars lined up out on the street for people with you.
So we're waiting on Michelle.
Earlier. I said I saw her earlier.
So no Michelle.
How's the harvest coming in so far?
Too good, actually. We haven't touched corn yet.
So the beans, we'll have to haul off around 43 loads of beans we can't pay.
Yeah.
It's a good problem.
Laura? I'm not either. I should, but. Yeah. Yeah. How you doing, brother?
All right.
Yeah? Staying too busy? Yeah? I don't think I've ever seen you when you're not extremely busy, to be honest.
March, April this year wasn't too bad because of my shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah,
You can still help. I said, I'm done doing that, Mary.
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Gracie again, he's still not.
What's that?
So we got Gracie instead of Mr. Peter.
She's been here she was here last time, too.
I know.
Yeah.
I used to coach her.
Who else is missing?
Brian Patrick, Michelle, Carrie.
We have 5.
Still one more. We got a corner. Who's the other?
I was the 9. We're good.
Oh, Mitchell. No, Mitchell. To work in the office with him before they shut the office down. Gracie's video. Oh, yeah, totally shutting it been doing that, and he,
Is that mic on? Is the microphone on out there?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. It is 6:30, so I'd like to call the October meeting of the Morgan County Plan Commission to order. If you would all please stand with me. First of all, let's determine a quorum. But we'll do that after. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so with 5 members present, we do have a quorum of the board, so we are able to take action tonight. There are no minutes, so we will not have to approve minutes this evening, but I would call for approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as sent.
Rumbaugh makes a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second? Jason Maxwell? Yeah, very good. All in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
aye.
Passes 5-0. Okay. Item A under old business has been removed, so we do not have any action on that. Item B is a public hearing for petition to rezone Z-24-03. Jeremy Abram, on behalf of Abram Properties LLC, is seeking to rezone 4.8 acres from Ag to R1. The property is located at 4989 and 4995 South State Road 135 in Jackson Township. Who is speaking on behalf of the petitioner? Jeremy, tell me your last name. Jeremy Abram? Very good. Okay, so if you'd come forward so that we can pick you up on the mic, that would be good.
You betcha. All right, so from the last time we were all here, you guys gave us some homework. That was for myself and my wife, who can't be here tonight. She's got a cheerleading awards banquet. So, we got together with the neighbors of Farm Drive. We met once with them down here. We met once with them at one of their residents. We had great discussion. I think we solved a lot of the issues from the last time, for those of you who remember. The aerial photo kind of says what it says, that the place is not desired. We've worked through a lot of the issues that were brought up the last time. We discussed the property as it is now, and moving forwards, I have a single tenant who would like to occupy the property, and he handles the sales and repairs of farm equipment, which I believe I mentioned last time. I've given the possible tenant's name, not contact info, but his name to the neighbors of Farm Drive. Again, through our meetings, we've all agreed that this tenant would be a good fit for the location. It most definitely cleans up what's there, and it caters to the needs of us, the owners, to financially be prosperous, as well as to be a good neighbor to the folks that have to drive by it all the time, with a goal of securing this that really kind of brings what last time all the contingency last time was more on what the property looks like, what it's being used for currently. Moving forwards with this possibility of this tenant, he has expressed interest in using the 2 buildings that are on the property within his business, along with the new building that we're proposing to build. So with that, the means of getting rid of the people who are there and the mess that has been created over the years, I've committed to them that if they would give me 12 months from the time of the new person occupying the property, that I would move these people out. Obviously, there's some logistics to that. Looking at the pictures, I'm afraid that these folks say, hey, you got 12 months to leave, they're just going to skedaddle, and that mess is going to be left on me, and I'm okay with that. We'll figure out how to get all of their stuff out of there so that the new person can move in and occupy all the buildings that are on the premises. We've talked a lot with Laura, and we've discussed rezoning to a I-1 is a large blanket. However, there is a possibility to have written commitments through you all or through however the channels work. And I think all of us, the neighbors and my wife and I, we agree that we're not looking to create another scrapyard or a salvage yard or any kind of recycling facility whatsoever, whether it's batteries, tires. Our concern is the waterway that runs adjacent, well, basically right along the property line that feeds other waterways. That was brought up last time. We want to be cautious of that. We don't want to bring people in who are going to potentially damage anything downstream from that, along with businesses who are going to store large, bulky, non-movable underneath its own power equipment, whether it's, through I-1, that's a lot of possibilities for manufacturing. And what I don't want is I don't want a semi a day coming in and 2 semis a day leaving with rolled steel and pallet racking, and that's not the intent for the property. If there was to be light manufacturing, it'd be confined to inside the building. Small farm implements and stuff like that is kind of the way he's going. So I think we've all agreed. I know they're here. I've spoken with Armando more today than I have in the 4 years that we've owned the property, and every conversation has been good. I think we've come to some conclusions, but not all yet. We've talked about the location of the new building on the property and how it will help shield along with the trees that run on the south side of the property. For those who remember, if you need pictures, I have some. The location of the building helps shield Farm Drive from what's going on our property. The current tenant I have in mind he's operating in Johnson County, and he's on 2 different facilities, and he has a variance. Laura had mentioned that if this doesn't go well, there's always an opportunity for a variance, right? And the trouble is he's got a variance at 2 different places where he's at now, and he wants the security of having the zoning with the written commitments to help him be prosperous in what he's doing. I don't know, it's not a secret between all of us that I don't plan on owning it forever. It's kind of a build and a lease to own all together. If we build this, the idea is to, with this new single tenant to come in, to get into a contract in the next 5, 7, 10 years to be able to sell this property to him. And I think that's where the concern lies with the folks from Farm Drive, is through our conversation, they believe that I'm wholeheartedly concerned, and I agree with their concerns, but if I'm not going to own it forever, there's a lot of unknowns there. I know that Armando has spoken with, I believe he said 2 different realty appraisers to kind of get their feel on the rezoning. The last time, the concern was more what the place looks like, what's going on there, the fact that junk gets dropped off and never gets moved. So all that aside, the biggest concern now is the actual rezoning itself of the property. I understand that. I feel for them on that. We're just trying to be in business and do what's right for us while not hampering any evaluations of their property. I know he's spoken to 2 different people. They've made it clear to him that a I-1 next to this much residential will have a negative impact. I've spoken to people who are in that field as well. I heard back from one lady today, and it's kind of an unknown, right? It's appraising is all in someone's opinion. I know there's checklists and there's things that they compare other properties to, but at the end of the day, I think it's an opinion. I found a lady who agreed with me that it wouldn't be a detriment to evaluations of home. They found folks who work in the same field who believe that it could be a detriment to their evaluation. I'm not here today to harm their evaluation by any means. I think they believe that we're not out to get them. We're not out trying to rezone something to make it harder for them down the road that's going to negatively impact the way they live, how they live, and most importantly, the evaluations or the appraisals of their homes or of their properties. We may have, when we bought this, it was kind of in haste. The gentleman that we bought it from, it was kind of a quick deal. And speaking with Laura today, I thought back, and when I bought it, I looked at it, told the guy that I was interested in it. I did a little bit of research. Now, I will admit that we didn't do a ton of research. However, my research took me to Elevate, and I've since learned that you cannot trust everything you read online. Should have known that in the first place. But when I looked at the property, there was the mini warehouses sitting right next door to it that have a tax, it's worded for taxes on the structures that are put on it. It's a ag zone. I didn't know any of this when we bought it. Ag zone with what may have been a variance through Morgantown decades ago. No one's really sure if that even exists. So when I looked at that, and then I looked at my track on the Elevate, it also says commercial. So I was under the assumption that it was zone commercial. I never asked the questions before, probably something that I will definitely ask in the future in buying stuff. However, until we started this process of trying to obtain a permit for a building, when I called down, I asked for a commercial permit. I gave her the address, and I believe it was Amber in the office. She said, that's ag, that's not commercial. So I did a little bit of research. We most definitely should have done some more, but I don't know how else to convey to these folks that for it to work for us, we need the I-1 zoning. I know in Armando and I's conversations, and I spoke with some other neighbors that live on the drive, they asked me to put myself in their shoes. And I've thought about that a lot today over the course from the last time we met you all. That's a really difficult thing to do because I'm not in their shoes. I've tried. I've thought about the neighbors that live across the road from me who have perfectly good farm ground. What if they wanted to put something in? I don't know how I would feel. I really truthfully don't. But I believe I wouldn't have, and I believe they don't have any ill intent towards us. They're just watching out for what their best interest is. But we are also doing the same. Financially, an I-1 could potentially hurt them. Financially for us, not obtaining an I-1 zoning will most definitely impact my family and the small business that I have. So in closing, my wife and I, we feel that all the concerns, with the exception of the actual I-1 itself, I believe they would all agree that we've been able to come to terms. We've got a working relationship that we can communicate with each other. We can find ways to navigate the junk, the things that are on site that no one wants there. And we believe that they're real concerns. And that we have common ground on all that. And I'm here tonight just to ask for a favorable recommendation for an I-1 for this parcel. So I can answer any questions if you have any.
You have a list of what you agreed on?
I mean, that was a short list, Bill. That was the big ticket items, recycling, anything to do with recycling, whether it's tires, scrap iron, batteries, none of that. I don't want that, right? And going forwards with this, I want that to be included as much as they do. It's difficult because I-1 is such a large blanket, but I think we could work together further on coming up with a more fine-tuned list of things that are a hard no, that not only suits them, but suits the neighbors who aren't here, the folks who either didn't have time or whatever the case is for being here. I live in Morgantown now, and I plan on always living in Morgantown. The last thing I want to do is create an environment where someone doesn't want to live in Morgantown. So that list can definitely grow. Right now, our concern is financially, the single source tenant who wants the new building along with the two existing buildings there, that gives myself and my wife the security of going out, taking the risk of building the building. Everything involves risk, and I understand that. But this one individual not wanting to operate off of a variance kind of has me in a deadlock on really needing the I-1. And obviously, for their reasons, that's where they live, it's where they have to drive by. I know that they've been driving by this place, they've been driving by the mini warehouses. It has been water under the bridge until now, and that's the point of these meetings, right? Is to give folks the opportunity to speak on their own behalf on things they do and don't like. That's a great part of the system, right? Everyone has a voice. The challenge that I've had is trying to find out who has the control on. We've both had our opportunity to stand before you. We've met 2 separate times. Armando was gracious enough to invite us to his residence last night. The chili smelled amazing. I was sad I'd already had dinner. But we've created relationships that we've never had before. And I like to think that we can continue those relationships in moving forwards with the folks of Farm Drive. So,
Have the ability to give us a list of certain things we do not or they do not want in that 4.6 acres?
yeah, and I think we, from all of us, would work with Laura in more defined businesses that would be in that would meet the criteria we don't want. On the forefront were the things that are going to store big, bulky, large, ugly items outside that can't be moved under their own power. Vehicles that get scrapped out and it's just the carcass of a frame rail laying around, right? Like, those are the things that lead people to believe it's more of a junkyard. I don't want a junkyard. I really don't. There's one in Nebo, and that's enough for the community. We don't need any more. So, yes, I guess the simplest way to answer your question is tonight we don't have a full detailed list, but I think moving forwards with the written commitments and working with these folks and working with Laura, we can most definitely come up with a fine-tuned list of businesses that are a hard no moving forwards. You're welcome.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I think we only had Mr. Abraham signed up in support of the petition. And so we would move on to those persons who are in opposition to speak. I have Marcus Billings. Do you wish to speak?
My name is Marcus Billings. I live at 9103 East Farm Drive, Morgantown.
Can I just make one point before we move on?
Yes.
I have a really long list of people signed up to speak tonight, and so if we can kind of contain our comments to.
I will probably take care of all but maybe 1 or 2.
Okay,
of those people.
that's
So,
fine.
yeah.
And I was just also going to say that, you know, if somebody makes the statement that you're wanting to make, you don't necessarily have to speak in order to get that read
Right,
into the record.
right.
So let's just
Yes,
move
we're
forward
aware.
with that.
I did want to point out on the agenda, it's listed as R1. The request is for I1. It's a typo, yeah, absolutely. So last time we were before the board, we brought you some pictures and notarized letters. Hopefully you guys kept those or at least are familiar with them. I got copies of the letter here and more of the pictures are the same. Appreciate Laura setting up the meeting that we had with Mr. Abram, and we had a secondary meeting with him. For the most part, we're pretty close. I'd like to read into the record our official position so nobody has any misunderstandings. I appreciate Jeremy working with us and speaking with us about it. We are here today to express our continued opposition to the request for rezoning this parcel from ag to light industrial. Let me start by saying we are sympathetic to Mr. Abrams' situation. He has purchased a property without realizing what the current zoning was and that it did not meet the criteria he had hoped for in an investment property. At the zoning board's recommendation, we have met with Mr. Abram on 2 separate occasions and have offered alternatives to rezoning the property. During our initial meeting in this very room, Ms. Parker indicated that a special variance could be issued for the business or businesses that Jeremy wishes to lease to. This variance would allow the property to remain ag in its zoning and also allow Mr. Abram to build according to his wishes. It would also protect us as the homeowners from potential devaluing of our property. In that regards, we have contacted 2 separate entities for information regarding the possible devaluation. The first is Mr. Mark Rotterman, Chairman of the Indiana Real Estate Appraisers Licensure and Certification Board. He's also on the Property Tax Assessment Board of Hendricks County and has served on the Board of Directors for Mybor Real Estate Association. I'll give these letters to you afterwards. His contact information's on there. We've also contacted Mr. Eric Copsey, a certified residential appraiser at Heartland Appraisals. His contact information's here as well. Due to prior commitments, Mr. Rotterman and Mr. Copsey cannot be here tonight, but both of these experts have stated unequivocally that rezoning the property light industrial will have a negative impact on the property value of the owners you see listed. They have both encouraged us to have the zoning board contact them should they need confirmation of these negative effects, and will provide written reports should they be requested. Based on all available evidence to us, there's no reason to think that allowing this parcel to be rezoned to light industrial would do anything but harm our property values. With the increasing cost of repairs and maintenance, every dollar of value is vital to our equity and potential financial dealings. Again, we made it clear to Jeremy that we would wholeheartedly endorse the variances that he would need to establish the potential client or clients that he has described to us and the board. He has also had the assurance of Ms. Parker that any variances established would become a permanent part of the parcel and would be in full effect for anyone that he sold the property to. Unfortunately, Jeremy has indicated during our meetings and subsequent dialogues that he feels the restraints of a variance would prohibit him from exploiting all possible options regarding a future sale of the property. In opposition, we feel the same in regards to rezoning the property to light industrial. Jeremy has purchased this property as an investment, and his commitment to it ends as soon as he sells it, which is what he has indicated he would like to potentially do with this intended tenant. If this property was zoned to be industrial, even with restrictions, the cat has essentially been let out of the bag. We as homeowners could very easily be facing future attempts to broaden the scope of what could be allowed once it has been rezoned. I'm sure the board is very aware that these measures tend to only move in one direction. The property owners listed in this letter are generational, in some cases being the fifth generation to inhabit these homes. Mr. Abram himself has said he understands our opposition because he would, in all likelihood, feel the same way if the positions were reversed. He contends the only way he can clean up the property is by getting it rezoned Industrial 1. We disagree with his assertion. Keeping the property zoned ag and providing specific variances for Mr. Abraham's intended use seems to be a solution for everyone. As a group, we have spent countless hours discussing the subject and have considered the matter carefully. We feel that our concessions to not oppose permanent variances for the property show our willingness to come to an amicable solution for both sides. And while we do support Jeremy's intention to clean up the property, we cannot support a rezoning that will potentially harm our properties now and into the future. Anybody have any questions? All right. If I could, I'd like to give you copies of that letter.
Thank you, Mr. Billings. Jaleesa Jenkins. Roxana Billings. You're good. Brandon Billings.
Hi.
Can you please state your name and your address, please?
Brandon Billings, 9274 East Farm Drive, Morgantown.
Thank you.
So I've lived at 9274 for 24 years. So we built that house there and have ties going way back 40 years. Lived out there earlier than that as a child. So been out there for a long time. I also have a son and daughter-in-law and my two granddaughters that live at 9282, and they couldn't be here tonight, but I wanted to help represent them as well.
There's a
Sure,
microphone.
I'll get a little bit closer here. So I didn't want to sound derogatory to the commission. Are we commissioners here? Okay. I don't have experience, but I did want to say that some of what I'm going to say might sound derogatory toward the commission, and that's not how it's meant. It's just that my assumption is that you have a duty to consider the impact of rezoning, not just for the petitioner, but obviously for those other people affected, you know, the county as a whole as well, development-wise. But for us, and there are 10 households on Farm Drive, as well as, I assume, the total would be over a dozen that would be affected by this rezoning. And there's only one way into Farm Drive and one way out, and that is the drive right beside this property. And so anyone who would consider moving out there or purchasing property there or evaluating the property would have to understand that you're driving by it. I drive by it twice every day, and I drive to the city to work, and I drive all the way back home because I like living in a country setting. And so it's that impact that I'm worried about. So in addition to that, there's the idea of putting an industrial zone right in the middle of something that's agricultural and residential. It just doesn't seem to fit that area, and it's something that could open up, I'm assuming, a slippery slope where the larger property across the highway, the commission might have a hard argument to stop light industrial from going in there, and the uses that are opened up for something larger than 5 acres down the road, it just opens it up to a whole can of worms that, I mean, I looked at the list and I was more worried about that than before I attended the meeting that we had here, after I saw the things that could happen down the road if we just take a residential and agricultural area and pop this down in the middle of it. So I guess the laundry list of items that were listed for light industrial is what's scary to me, and the property value, the potential. I mean, no one has stated they thought it would increase the property there. And I know my son and daughter-in-law who have right now financial issues, just like Mr. Abraham with this property. That's their only property. And my son works at the fork truck factory, and they've cut out all of his overtime. So they're having a tough time meeting their mortgage and their improvement loan every month. And one of their only recourses, if they can't make it, would be to sell their house. And if they do that, they don't want to see the property value go down below what they have and then be in a position where they can't move forward because they're upside down. So the other duty that I feel like, and again, not being derogatory, but the other duty of the commission would be to enforce zoning laws, I assume. And you would know this a lot better than me, but that was my assumption. And that's something that has not happened on this property there for the history of any type of commercial use that has been there. It was just allowed to go on without anyone contesting it, I suppose. Even when they had the buffer zone there, it was just assumed. It wasn't ever anything that was set up to be zoned for that type of a use. And so it doesn't give us any confidence that if something goes in there, it will, you know, that they'll put a stop to anything. So not just you, but I mean just government zoning in general. It doesn't give us any confidence because of the history of what's happened there. So I've got a lot of experience with industrial in my work, and I've seen a lot of companies, and I've seen a lot of abuses of environmental regulations where chemicals have gotten into creeks. Anything that you do, cleaning parts, if you don't dispose of that properly and pay what it costs to have that disposed, it can end up in the water table, and that's another concern because there's a creek right there. So I just wanted to state that I know that Mr. Abraham has economic reasons, but that he wants to rezone this, but we have economic reasons, and there's 10 of us back there, 10 households, families. And so basically, I would guess that that would be a concern. I mean, I don't see how the overall tax impact is going to benefit the county. I don't see how that area is even going to be an ideal place for something industrial. And there are a lot of other areas in the county that something like that could go.
Okay.
So that's about it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Billings. Any questions from the board for Mr. Billings? Armando Martinez, do you wish to speak?
Good evening. My name is Armando Martinez. I lived at 9320 East Farm Drive. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. There's an absolute treasure in that area, the property, the area, the farmland, the wetland, the entire environment is really a beautiful area. I feel very privileged to live there, and I'm concerned about a transition into an industrial zone. Residentially, I think everyone, including Mr. Abrams, has spoken about our concerns about property value devaluation or impacts to the property. One of the things I've learned tremendously about, property, Morgan County Comprehensive Plan, a lot to learn in a very short amount of time. So please excuse my ignorance in certain areas. But one of the things I learned is that a variance, working with Mr. and Mrs. Abrams to work on a variance would be considered a middle ground, a way to meet someone, to help them meet their need and also not impact us. So I think that was the goal and the intent of working with the Abrams to find a solution so they're not hurting as a family and a part of the community, but also protect ours as well, find that middle ground. The other thing I learned is the phrase entrepreneurial depreciation, which is connected to when you take a property and impact other properties around the area. And that's where I started reading into the comprehensive plan for Morgan County. And one of the things I found was that there is a sincere and very serious consideration to farmland and the wetlands and protecting our environment in this county. One of the things I found in the executive summary was what low intensity is. Low intensity areas, I wasn't familiar with any of this. And the low intensity areas encourage preservation of prime farmland and environmentally sensitive areas, which are located in the southern portion of the county and the western portion, which is exactly where Morgan County is, where our home is. When I looked at the future land use map for Morgan County, for Morgantown specifically, for where our homes are, it talks about natural resources and recreation, and it also talks about environmentally sensitive development areas, rural residential. That's on the plan, a 10-year plan for Morgan County, which was a little peace of mind knowing that that has already been something that has been considered for future development. And then lastly, what I learned in research was just trying to understand what low intensity is. And that area where we live is all low intensity. So I don't think it's, for what I've learned, there's nothing as a request to change what the comprehensive plan is. It's really just to adhere to it and just to consider the impact of property and for the families, the dozen families that are there. I also do want to say that working with Mr. and Mrs. Abrams has been very good. We were able to meet on multiple occasions. They were very gracious. I think we all look at the idea that neither side excludes the other one's potential pain point, but we just want to be able to work together and meet in a place where neither one gets hurt. There is no benefit at all, not only against the comprehensive plan, but there's no benefit to any of the families to rezone it, only to one property to hurt many. And that to me doesn't seem equitable. So that's the only thing I would like to share with you, and just thank you again for the opportunity to share point of view. And if you can consider it, if it was your home,
Thank
how
you.
would you approach it?
Appreciate your comments.
Yeah.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Martinez? All right. Holly Martinez? Good, thank you. Autumn Cure, and if I'm butchering that name, I'm having a little trouble with. Okay, very good. Tim Kelly? You're good? All right. And then there's one that I can't decipher here. I'm very sorry. You're good? Tell me your name, just so we can. Shane White. And then Jason Mooney? No, you're good also. I'm sorry? Okay. Oh, okay. We'll give you a chance later on then. All right. Having heard all of the comments, I believe, from remonstrators, does the petitioner have anything else you'd like to add? If you could make some just brief comments on this?
I unfortunately, I don't. I think all that's been said for you all to make a decision has been said.
Okay.
If I was a smarter person, I would come up with something, but I stand here before you not being that person, so.
I
Thank you.
have a question.
Yes, sir.
What is the problem with a variance?
The problem with the variance is the tenant that I have secured, assuming it goes I-1, he is operating in Johnson County on he's got two different places in Johnson County, so he's trying to consolidate. In Johnson County, his variances are, go with the owner, not with the parcel. So his concern is longevity. If he's operating on a variance that's in my name, and then I try to sell it to him, he's got to go back through all the same struggles that I've gone through. He wants the security of the zoning. It's done a little different between the two counties. His experience in Johnson County is one place is at his parents' house, that he can only operate there as long as his parents are alive. I think I spoke with Laura today. The likelihood of county government being small like it is, realizing that is probably out there pretty far, but that's his concern, is not having it to where it's his. He could lose that.
I also have a question for you
Yes,
while we
ma'am.
have you at the microphone. How close are you to being able to give us a precise list of those things that would be prohibited or you would not be pursuing based upon your conversations with your neighbors? How close are you to being able to give us something written?
I mean, I don't want to speak for them, but I would say we could sit down and probably come up with a list relatively quickly.
Okay, okay.
yeah.
That answers my question
Thank
on
you.
that. Laura, could you, just for me, variance runs with the property, am I correct about that? Yeah, so the variance runs in this county, I don't know what Johnson County does, but it runs with the property. So if you sold it or you didn't and there was a variance on it, then the variance would stay with the property, just for point of clarification. Any other questions? With that, then I would close the public hearing and open the floor for any board deliberation. Don't have any comments, anything you want to ask Laura?
Did you have anything to add, Laura?
Just a note for your own reference, any motions, because there's only 5 of you, you have to be unanimous. Okay. Okay, with that, I would call for a motion.
I'm just personally having trouble understanding. I'm in property development, so I get the concerns that are laid out. I also hear the concerns of being a good neighbor. Knowing a variance goes with the property, that should give any tenant a reassurance that they're protected, their use is protected. And personally, I have difficulty getting behind an I-1 on a small property in the middle of ag for the concerns that what does that do from a precedent, even with commitments for other properties around there. This wasn't intended to be an industrial park. So what can of worms could open up? It's just personal thought.
So I am hearing no motion from the board, is that correct?
I'll go ahead. Kenny Hill makes a motion that we deny the request on rezone Z-24-03 ag to I-1.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Forward, a favorable, unfavorable?
Unfavorable.
Unfavorable. Am I hearing that correctly? Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay. Jason Maxwell seconds that. I would call for a vote. All those in favor of the unfavorable motion, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, thank you all for your time and your attention, and we will now move on to our next agenda item. I'll give everybody a minute to clear the room if you want to do that before we move on to our next agenda item. So that just equates to squabbles down the road. Okay, if we could all take our seats, I would like to move on to new business, which is a public hearing for petition MIP-22-07. John, you be John tonight. John Larison, on behalf of Holloway Engineering, will be speaking on behalf of Carl Van Roy, is requesting a one-lot minor plat. The property is located at 8245 McWhorter Road in Green Township and is zoned ag. So, John?
Thank you. I am John Larison with Holloway Engineering. We're at 100 Professional Court in Mooresville, Indiana. I'm here on behalf of Carl Van Roy. He's the new owner of 8245 McWhorter Road. This is an existing 18 and a half, 19 acre parcel. Some of you may know it as the former McElfresh residence. Lived there for many years and just recently, actually last month, sold it to Mr. Van Roy. You're probably aware that Mr. Van Roy is the owner of quite a large number of tracts of significant size, and really is amassing quite a land area, and this was just his latest purchase, and his interest in this parcel really is in the land. He does have the house for sale and would like to divide the house and the north frontage on McWhorter Road off and keep the remaining parcel with no development planned for it. I've prepared a one-lot minor plat. The parcel consists of 1.25 acres. After the dedication of the right-of-way, it's actually a lot of 1.114 acres in size. I'll ask you to refer to the package that was given for this issue and consider the zoning page if you would. You see the subject property outlined in blue and the three parcels already taken out of the parent parcel, and those are all roughly 1 acre in size. And then there's a little block just south of the one out of the northeast corner of the parent parcel. That parcel was actually purchased by Mr. Van Roy as well. So what we'd like to do is we're asking for approval of the one-lot minor plat tonight. Again, 1.25 acres in size. And in order to divide that off in a lot that size, we're now required to rezone it to R1. However, I would like for you to consider as a part of this request the number of small cutouts of roughly the same size in the general area, including those other three off of the same parent parcel, as well as the adjoining R1 for Cedar Run. You'd see if these parcels were developed today, many of them would be required to be zoned R1. So even though there's not a lot of adjoining activity other than ag. We really feel like it's, again, an existing home. It's very consistent in size with most of the adjoining parcels, or many of the adjoining parcels in the area. So again, tonight, we're asking for two things, and the first is the approval of the minor plat, and that is why we would then ask you for approval of a rezone to R1. And I'll take any questions.
Okay, hearing none, I don't believe we have anyone signed up to speak on this petition. So we will move on to, and there would of course be no need for a rebuttal at that point. Any comments from staff? No staff comments? With that, then I would like to close the public hearing. I'll open the floor for board discussion. Any discussion among the board on this petition to, on the one lot minor plat? No? Hearing none, then I would call for a motion.
I'll move that we approve MIP-24-07.
Do I hear a second? Rumble? Yeah. With that, I would call for a vote on that. All in favor of approving the petition for a one lot minor plat for petition MIP-22-07, please say aye. Raise your right hand.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay, with that, we'll move right on to the public hearing for petition Z-24-05, which is this same parcel to rezone it, the 1.2 acres from ag to R1. John, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, just to reiterate that in rezoning it to R1, even though it isn't surrounded by other R1 parcels, I feel like it's very typical of the lot sizes in the area. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions for John? Hearing none, I would close the public hearing, and if the board has any comments among themselves, you could have any deliberation among yourselves. If not, then I would call for a motion.
I'll move that we forward a favorable recommendation for Z-24-05.
Do we have a second on that? Bill Rumbaugh seconds the motion to send a favorable recommendation for petition Z-24-05. I'd call for a vote of the board. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Raise your right hand.
Aye.
Bill, you voting down there? Gotcha. Needed to see your hand. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, John. Okay. The next we have up is a public hearing for petition MIP-24-08. Glenn Shake, on behalf of Legacy Land Solutions LLC, is requesting to minor plat 53 acres into 8 lots. The property is located immediately north of 9327 North Pennington Road in Madison Township and is zoned ag. Mr. Shake?
No, my name is David Gilman, land use consultant for Mr. Shake, doing the presentation tonight.
David Gilman. Is that correct?
That is
All right.
correct.
Yes, thank you.
Permission to approach the members for
Yeah, that's
handout?
fine. Could you say again what company you're with that you're representing, Mr. Shake, so we just had it clear?
Yes, that's fine. David Gilman, my company is Land Development Services, and
Okay.
I'm the principal.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is David Gilman again, and I'm representing Glenn Shake, or Legacy Solutions, Land Solutions LLC. Tonight, we're proposing 8-lot minor subdivision. The proposed minor subdivision will be named Legacy Estates and will be accessible from North Pennington Road. The lots within Legacy Estates will be served by a private gravel drive and would remain privately by the lot owners, and it would not be a dedicated for maintenance to the county. The private drive would serve multiple purposes, obviously to provide access to the private residence, utility easements to the lots, and to protect an existing gas line along the southern boundary of the 53 acres. Individual lots will be served by a private well and on-site septic system as approved by the county health department. There's no portion of our property that lies within the floodplain. Each lot would be platted for one single-family home. We would impose a restrictive covenants on the plat to prevent further subdivision for additional building sites. We are requesting the Plan Commission grant us a waiver of the UDO standard, Chapter 5, subdivision type, to allow 8-lot minor plat as opposed to a maximum of 6 lots. The proposed 8 lots minor subdivision, we believe, allows a layout that's most compatible with the adjacent parcels and configuration, ensure consistency with the existing scale and character of the area. I'd like for you now to go through the handout, and the first slide, or the first page, is our proposed minor plat. As you can see, we have 8 lots, 4 that would be 7.5 acres average to the west, long and narrow, from top to bottom. And then we do have 4 lots to the east that are more rectangular, and they would average about 6 acres each. Total, our lots would be anywhere between 5 acres minimum to 8 acres maximum. And this is by design. Mr. Shake has a long history of marketing and understanding rural estate type development. And the buyers, they like lots 5 acres, probably not much less, but then they don't necessarily want 10 or 15 acres where some of it would remain unused. You'll see lot 1, which is furthest to the west, is encumbered with 2 existing easements, but it has plenty of buildable area in the center of the lot. This particular lot would have direct access to North Pennington Road. The remaining lots would have access via the private gravel drive I described. That gravel drive is shaded along the south and then runs due north in the proposed private lots to the east. This drive is 25 feet wide and about 1,925 feet in length. Slide 2, or the next page. What this page demonstrates is how the lots would overlay to the aerial. The purpose of this slide is to demonstrate the existing development and topography surrounding the subject 53 acres. We have 1 owner to the west, which we have 1 lot proposed against that owner. We have 2 owners to the east, which we have 2 lots proposed for those 2 lots. To our north is wooded area, mostly wooded south of the creek. And to the south, we do have some smaller parcels abutting us. The next slide, please, 3. What this demonstrates, it gives you an overall of the existing AG zoning and R1 zoning development in the area. The development pattern and the proposed 8 lots within Legacy Estates seems to be the best fit for the rural single-family homes. Again, our average lot size is 6.625 acres overall. Page 4. This slide helps identify the numbers of adjoiners that we have abutting the 53 acres. There are a total of 10 abutting parcels, and the proposed 8 lots, we believe, will be compatible with the surrounding properties in both their development pattern and density. Ironically, 50% of our abutters and 50% of our lots are either above or below our 6.625 average, so we are right in the middle of the lots that abut us in all directions. Slide number 5, our last slide is my summary. Our lots, obviously, and we filed this with the county, will share a perpetual maintenance agreement for the private drive. The gravel drive, again, will not be dedicated to the county for maintenance. We have no public improvements proposed. Individual lots will have an area approved for septic field and well by the county health department. There will be a restricted covenants, as I mentioned, to prevent abuse of the minor plat procedure for additional subdivisions or home sites. The proposed minor subdivision, we feel, respects the pattern and density of the area. We think the minor subdivision and the 8 lots is the most appropriate for our development for a number of reasons. 1, we're not proposing any public improvements. 2, the proposed 8 lots would require many waivers if we were required to go through the major platting process. A waiver primarily for the requirement to build public streets, install sidewalks, install storm sewer systems. 35% of our property, if we went through the major process, would have to be dedicated as open space and maintained by an HOA in perpetuity. That's 18.55 acres of our 53 acres would have to be dedicated for some type of park or playland. Not to mention the requirements for drainage detention ponds that would also be dedicated and maintained by an HOA. The other burden is the filing requirements for a major plat has 2 parts for the plat approval, primary and secondary, and construction plan review, which in our opinion is not required when you're proposing no public improvements. And then we all know the cost of land, the cost of development cost means the number of lots that you must result in making that profitable. In AG, we would have to have at least 26 lots on this property. If R1, that would go up to 53 lots. It's our opinion that either a 26 or a 53 lot development surrounded by our neighbors would be inconsistent with the development pattern and the density that's already been established. We believe this proposed 8 lots respects that established pattern and density of this area, which will be best integrated within the new development and community. There are 2 items I want to point out. The intent of the subdivision control ordinance is to design adequate facilities, streets, utilities, and other infrastructure that provide for the division to accommodate the development. We believe we've met that requirement. The standards also intend to provide quality development, public health, safety, general welfare, and support the goals of the comprehensive plan. We feel our proposal meets that development. The comprehensive plan allows for density types of housing and development while preserving the county's rural identity. We feel in this area of Morgan County, we have that rural identity, and we think our 8 lots helps blend in for a seamless development with the existing development that's there. It does address the need for the new housing stock and meets the demand or desires for rural estate type homes that Mr. Shake is building. With that, we do appreciate the staff's recommendation to support our request for the waiver for the 8 lots. We would be happy to answer questions from board members or members of the audience. Thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
How close are you to water in this piece of property? Public water?
Public water,
Yes.
do you need him to come up and identify?
Yeah, why don't you come up and identify yourself, tell us who you're speaking on behalf of.
Hello, my name is Glenn Shake on behalf of Legacy Land Solutions. I have not mapped the water because it was not close enough to where we would put a cost to
You
try
want
to
to
bring
speak
it
into the
in.
microphone a little bit?
I do not know the closest point of water connection. When I started to look into it, my contractor told me it was prohibitive because of the distance, but I did not measure that distance or locate it here to tell you tonight, unfortunately.
Okay.
Second question. Have you put any easements in here so that if water does get there, you can adequately hook up to the water?
Right through the driveway has an easement for all the lots, and a utility easement that's already written in to be used as dual purpose. I believe I've turned a copy of that in as well.
Thank you.
With that, we would ask, so you're Mr. Shake, so do you have any other comments that you wanted to make while you're up there?
I do not.
You do not? Okay, very good. With that, we have a couple of people signed in opposition, to speak in opposition. Ro Kaiser, is Raul here?
You almost got the name right, it's Raul.
I'm sorry?
You almost got the name right, it's Raul.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. I live at 9327 North Pennington Road, and I am the one that's just south of there. And this is the first time we've heard what was going in there, so I haven't heard or even seen any plans that they had in mind for it, so I wasn't sure if I was really for it or against it. My big concerns are those trees that are right there that are adjoining the property. That is actually the property line. If you go straight down the middle of those trees, half of it's on theirs, half of it's on ours. I've been maintaining that property for the last 7 years. The person who owned the property before me maintained it the entire time that they were there. So I'd hate to see those mature trees just get plowed under and taken out. And that goes all the way straight down that line. The other concern is I have, I'm kind of fond of the deer, the foxes and the turkeys and the bald eagles that come through our yard very frequently on the way through to the field. And I think, moving something in that's going to mess up their ecosystem, those deers go through our woods. That's at the back of our property, straight into that property, all the way through to the woods that are on the other side, and the one that is just to the west of them. And then, when we bought the house, granted, I didn't check, but I was told that that was an agricultural only, it was in trust, it could never be turned into a residential. And then all of a sudden, we're getting this notification saying, hey, it's residential, we're planning this. So it kind of took me by surprise. And I knew there's a farmer out there that farms that, and I just feel, we're taking away more farmland, we're just taking away more jobs from the local community just to make more houses. But I get it, I understand the houses.
Thank you for your comments.
Oh, I didn't know I was done.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, if you have something else to say.
Oh, well, and then, I just have concerns how it's going to butt up against ours and what's going to be affected, is our well going to be affected, what. And there is a water connection at the end of Viola and at Pennington. There's a fire hydrant right there, but nothing south of that is connected to water. So that's a little far away, but that's what I know.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Cheryl Steck, is it Steck? I'm sorry if I'm, Steele. Yes.
Oh, then.
Yeah, you may have to lower that microphone a little bit there. Thank you.
Hi, so my husband and I live at 4861 East Pennington Lane, which is adjacent to this property. We have a private driveway that runs adjacent to this property. There are 2 homes and a lot in between. My concern is somewhat what the gentleman before said. Number one, this is the first we've heard about it. If we hadn't seen this in the Nextdoor app, we wouldn't have known anything about this. And it's my understanding that if you're going to sell that and rezone it, you have to notify the neighbors. Is that correct? Well, that's agriculture. That's a farm over there. I'm sorry. Well, like the gentleman before, we were told that it was a farm. Now, this is our retirement home. We lived here 8 years, And this is our retirement home. My next home will be probably over at the funeral or over at the cemetery, but, you know, we were told it was in a trust and it wouldn't be sold. Now, everybody knows that never means probably might be, been there, done that. But this came at, like I said, a complete shock. My concern is that we have a lot of privacy there because of the trees that run alongside the driveway. I don't want those trees taken down. That is our privacy. I want to know, first of all, what they plan to keep our area all blocked off like it is now. We have deer, turkeys, all of that come through. We have regular deer that we named because they're there so often. And we don't want to see that disrupted. It seems to me that I guess if this is going to get pushed through, that this is probably the best case scenario. But I would like to know, since we don't know anything about this, has the entire farm been sold, or just this front part? The entire farm. So
You need to, ma'am, you need to speak into and if you'll just ask your questions, we'll give them an opportunity to answer your
okay.
questions when they come back up.
Okay, so I wanted to know if the front part was just sold or the entire farm, and he said the entire farm. It looks like the front part up by us will be the 8 homes, but what's gonna go in behind that?
Okay.
And that's a real concern for us because we already have, if you're aware of where this property is, there's a little curve. The road is extremely narrow. We get a bunch of cars coming through there. That's gonna really disrupt things. And I don't think anybody on either side's gonna want that. Let me see, I had my questions written down. Oh, and also, we've already had utilities that were installed on our property just last week. That's how we kind of, after the Nextdoor app, we knew that something was going in because of the utilities. One of the questions that you asked about water, it is cost prohibitive. We checked into getting the city water back where we are, which we're at the very back. They told us like $40,000, and that was 8 years ago. So if we can get some of our questions answered, maybe that will allay our fears. But right now, I'm opposing this until I know more.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll ask them to come up in just a minute for rebuttal. I believe that's all the people we have to speak in opposition. Sorry. Okay, that's all I have signed up. Okay, just a minute. Then I have several people who are interested in the petition. Get an opportunity to speak also? Yes, okay. Stanley LeBlanc. I believe he might have already left. I saw him here earlier. Christina La Rosa. Yeah, would you come to the microphone, please?
Hi, my name's Christina La Rosa. I live at 9423 North Pennington Road, so I think it's the property adjacent on the west side to it. I just wanted to say for my other neighbors that this was also the first time that we had any idea of this, even though I was in contact with the real estate agent who was also the farmer of that land about potentially buying that land for myself to expand my property, as it's part of the original farmland that was there. I just found the letter in my mail yesterday about this hearing. I was like, well, I don't know what's going on, but we should probably go figure it out because I'm planning to transition my property there to have a more community-based thing and maybe host retreats and stuff there. And like my other neighbors, we really love seeing all the animals that roll through there. And since I moved in maybe 3 years ago, I'm really bad with time, but I feel like we've really, it just listing all the animals there. There's turkeys, there's bald eagles, there's hawks that nest in my woods and stuff. And this property is also butting up against what is certified state forest on my property, which was put in to protect the land there and the trees that are there and everything else. So this is the first time we've heard about it as well. And given kind of what we've heard here today, I would say the same thing as the lady that just came up before me. It's like, we're gonna change it from interested to being opposed until we can get some more information and really see what's going on. I don't remember the first guy's name, but he was saying that they think that this is the best use of this land in consideration that goes along with everything that's there, but they haven't talked to any of us. So they don't know. I'd be curious to see with those utilities that are going in for the sewage where that's gonna drain. I'm downhill from there, so I already get drainage and spray blowback from when they were doing the agricultural stuff there. Where's all that septic gonna go? Is that gonna go onto my land where my animals and where I garden and stuff? These are things that I think are of a large concern. And I mean, I love the idea that those are larger plots, and I love that they're not wanting to do the 53 and 23 plots. That's great, but it's still going to vastly change that landscape there and the way that water drains and everything else. So I guess my concerns are those things that we just need a lot more information before agreeing to put something in there like that.
Okay.
I don't really know what else to say. I don't know what else to say, but they can help me, so I think that's fine. I did a good job.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, Christina. Matthew Plonsky? I might have really butchered that. I'm so sorry. Okay, Plonsk.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matthew Plonsky. I am a friend of Christina's. We are very early on in starting a nonprofit organization called Rosebud Initiative that we plan to have on that property, a wellness retreat of sorts. So we're kind of just, like she said, we're here because this is new information to us, and we didn't put ourselves down as opposed because we're here to just get information and to just try. Our whole goal is to improve the community and to help people and to help the county. So we were mainly just trying to figure out how, whether it's finding some kind of middle ground or some kind of buffer to keep the nature intact for if we are able to set up this wellness retreat, to figure out some way to keep the nature aspect of the ecotherapy and stuff that we're going to be doing, and mainly just figure out how to benefit everyone in the county and the people we're trying to help with our Rosebud Initiative. And Rosebud Retreat will be hopefully the name of the location. Just to speak with the company here, to see, like I said, if there's any kind of middle ground we could find or protection we can do, or mainly just get more information, like everyone else has been saying, before any major decisions have been made. But yeah, I think that's all I have today.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Christopher Parker. Thank you. And Tony Gregory.
Hi, my name is Tony Gregory. I live at 4641 East Viola in Mooresville, which is probably about an eighth of a mile from the proposed site. And I just had more than anything, I had a procedural question. It sounds like if this were somehow approved as a minor, what is exactly involved in if somehow it was tried to be switched to a major? Is that something completely has to go back for zoning and all of that? It would have to be rezoned then, correct?
Correct.
So, and then it could, like you just said before, it could stay ag and be residential then?
Well, that's actually what they're requesting.
Right, or I'm sorry, but yes, that's what it was. So, okay, well, that was really more than anything. I just wanted to, a lot of my questions have been answered here this evening, and I just want to know that.
All right, thank you for your comments, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, that's all I have signed up to speak. With that, we would ask the petitioner to come back and answer some of the questions that have been posed for us.
So obviously, it was never our intent to not be transparent with any of the neighbors. I did send out, as required by the ordinance, certificate of mailings to all the owners, most of them that spoke tonight, but that was done, I believe, 15 days before the hearing. We did run an advertisement in the local newspaper about the same meeting tonight. In that letter that they received, there was a contact information if you want to look at the plans we have on file, that they should be able to contact Laura's office and see what we filed. As far as the comments that were made, Cheryl Steele at 4861 Pennington Lane, that name does not appear on my list to receive notice, so maybe that's why she did not have information mailed to her. Mr. Kaiser, his property does abut our southern property line where we would put in our drive. We certainly don't want to take down trees to put in a gravel drive that only costs money. So we would obviously respect that tree line. We could easily stay north of that so those trees could remain in place. But I just need to be mindful that's a gas line easement, so the gas company could come through there at any time and make any improvements or tree removals that they see necessary. As far as Ms. LaRosa, we purposely wanted to do just one lot from her top to bottom so that she would be least impacted because she has one large I think it's about a 21 acre parcel. So she would only have one neighbor, one home, one house on 6.625 acres. Should not, in my opinion, cause any drainage problems that she would be concerned about. And our lot and our home builder would be mindful that they can't grade or drain or force any water onto any adjoining property. But one house, I think on 6 acres, is gonna be plenty of room for any runoff from any gutter to absorb into the ground or off of any driveway. Again, I think if we came in here with the major plat for 26 or 53 lots, this room would be packed. We're only asking for 8. I think Mr. Sheikh was being very mindful, and I agree, to be, let's develop something that fits with the neighborhood. We do have interest in these lots. We have interest in some of the smaller, more square lots at 5, 6 acres. And then we have interest in some of the longer lots that people want that longer private backyard to put in an outbuilding and have a little bit more privacy. If there are areas in our perimeter of our property that can be preserved for trees, we certainly would be willing to do that. I have extra handouts that I gave the board. I'm going to share those with our neighbors tonight. Glenn and I will be available to talk to them if they want any more details than what we've shared with you tonight, or that's been on file with the staff since we filed the petition. We hope that the board would grant us the waiver and allow us to have these 8 lots, and we think that is the best development that I think addresses the concerns that these people have mentioned tonight. And with that, we'll answer any more questions that board members or members of the neighbors or audience would have of us.
Questions from the board? If not, then I would close the public hearing on petition MIP-24-08 and call for a motion if there is one from the board. Oh, I'm sorry. You keep reminding me of that. Lori, you have any comments? Okay, sorry. I keep passing over that. Okay, now let's call for a motion.
I personally don't like the waiver for the 8 lots. We have the rule for a reason. And I'm okay with the minor plat, but not for more than 6 lots.
Or are you making a motion for an unfavorable recommendation with, or are you,
I'll approve the minor plat request without waiver. Be my motion.
I would second that.
okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the minor plat without waiver for 8 lots. So I would call for a vote from the board on that. Those in favor, please, remember, there are only 5 of us, so it has to be unanimous for it to pass. I'm not trying to influence your vote, but just remember, yes.
Ask
Bill.
a question of Mrs. Parker.
Yeah.
With only 6 lots, would he be able to then do another thing with the property that's left? And only into 6 lots. So he would not be able to do anything else with the property. Thank you.
Okay, let's go back. We have a motion on the floor to approve the minor plat without the waiver. We have a motion and a second, so could I call for a vote on that? All those in favor of approving the minor plat without a waiver, please signify by saying aye and raising your right hand. 5. Motion passes 5-0. So you have an approval on your minor plat, but no waiver for the 8 lots. Okay, very good. We'll give everyone a minute to clear the room if you so desire. You're welcome to stay. We have a little bit more business to take care of, but we appreciate you coming out tonight.
Same thing with industrial.
Okay.
I know, everybody would have, but I'm glad I could do that. Oh, blue side. Oh.
Okay, we have next on the agenda wishes to be heard, and apparently there was a request come into the Plan Commission President, Terry Brock, from Mr. Joe Hankins requesting to address the Plan Commission as a wishes to be heard agenda item. That's as much information as I had on that. Are you Mr. Hankins?
Yes, I'm Joe
Yes, okay,
Hankins.
very good. If you could please state your name, give us your address, and let us know what you have to say tonight. I'm sorry? I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Oh, I thought he left. I thought he just got worn out and went home.
Don't give him that option.
Thought we finally wore you out, Kenny.
Too much coffee.
Don't give you the option, Carl, you might do it.
It's okay, I didn't notice him leave. Sorry. Okay, now, Mr. Hankins, if you could please let
Okay,
us know what
I'm-
you'd like to be heard about.
Okay. I'm Joe Hankins, JTH Construction Consulting LLC, developer of Timberlake Woods Section 2. I've had eye surgery Monday. I'm sorry, I'm wearing sunglasses. It's a pretty gruesome sight, so my vision's a little bit blurred. What I'm here tonight to talk about is a meeting that I wasn't part of that blocked building permits for Section 2. I think there was a vote taken without my presence. I responded to that letter that was
was sent out after that vote, after speaking with the county engineer about the construction of the roads I was going to do. Let's see if I can find this. I have 2 copies of that letter that I emailed that was not, Laura did not include in the packet that you got tonight. And that was what I sent after I got the letter from you guys that's in your packet saying that present for.
If you have comments, sir, I need to ask you to speak
Okay,
into the
I'm sorry.
microphone for the record.
I know this is kind of informal, so I'm just treating it that way. We're going to kind of bounce around here a little bit. But at the end of my conversation with the county engineer and this letter, I felt that we were good to go. I got no rebuttal back, no, you can't, no, no negative response to this letter of what my plans were for completing the roads and building some houses. Where we're struggling is I inherited this section 2. My dad had a heart attack and then had quadruple bypass surgery and has since recovered. Actually, one of his valves are leaking. He's got surgery 1st of November to fix that. But we have dissolved Timberlake Woods. We have dissolved JTH Development LLC, which was the original developer. So we dissolved that, and he deeded me the remaining lots and roads in Timberlake Woods Section 2, which is kind of a trick bag because Lot 32 is not buildable. Lot 30 is my lot I'm going to build my own house on. So it left me with 3 lots to sell to do the infrastructure and completion of the roads and curbs and all that, which is not enough to do it to you guys' spec. This is open for debate, I guess. There's a couple different things I'd like to do with this. I'd like to ask that we take this out of being dedicated to the county. I really see no benefit to the county or me or the lot owners besides possibly snow removal. The cost for me to complete the roads, the water, the curbs, everything is about $185,000, and my gross profit after the sale of the 3 lots was $138,000. So I've already got a lot of money invested. See if I can read this. I've got $17,000 that I paid Wallace Construction back in 2008 to grade that road to the back on both sides and put 8 inches of fill or gravel base in. I've got $4,000 and Rod Stafford coming out and grading and cutting a ditch on the east side for drainage. I talked with Terry Brock about. I've got $4,000 in additional stone that I've added to that road, and now $13,000 worth of curbs that I put in on the east side. I put 600 foot of curb in that I have pictures of. So I'm really struggling with why I need to build the county a road that's going to cost me essentially $50,000 more just so you guys can, just to give it to you guys. My next issue is there's 80 acres behind both of these roads, which is there's a 40 on the east and a 40 on the west. And if you look at that, your map of Timberlake, there's a lot 11 and lot 10 are on the west side, and then 20, 19, 30, 31, and 32 are on the east side. And the east side is what I'm really working hard to get done. In 2018, on the west side, my dad and I paved the road all the way to the back of lot 10, and I have pictures of that as well. And that had been destroyed by the Davis Homes that built a lot on a house house on lot 12. In the wintertime, with concrete pump trucks and all that. So I'm concerned about paving this road all the way back to these 40 acres that one is sold, and the developer is here, and the other has just sold again, to who we don't know who bought it and what their plans are. So I'm a little hesitant to put a whole lot of money into these roads and then have somebody drive essentially 4,000 tons of stone on each side. I know that the calculations that it will take at least 4,000 tons of stone on each side on each 40 to get roads put in properly. That's a lot of stone, let alone concrete trucks and everything else driving over my investment until I put the top coat on, and I want to wait until the houses were built before I would put the top coat on, before I would turn it over to you guys. So I'm liable for it. My dad and I have already put $40,000 into this road. I'm going to give this all to you. So anyway, I guess what I'm asking for is, when you look at those pictures, I've contracted with Lentz Paving out of Bloomington to pave 300 feet of a 3.5-inch binder on the east side, inside of those curbs, which would allow us to build on lot 20 and lot 19 right now, and then which the curbs are already there, so I don't know why we wouldn't be able to build anyway. But right now, you guys have a moratorium on my building permits, which is also putting me in a financial situation. I've lived in Morgan County all my life. I went to first grade here, and I've grown up here. I built over 60 homes in Morgan County, 20 in Johnson County, 15 in Brown County, and I've always done everything right. I think Kenny can attest to that. I built a quality home, and I'm proud of what I do. I'm not trying to get out of anything, but I have a hard time understanding why I would need to take $50,000 out of my pocket to give the county a road that I really don't think you want anyway. But I can plow a lot of snow for 50 grand, because that's really all I'm seeing that we would get out of me turning the roads over to the county. So I guess I'm twofold, and what I'm here to talk about is I'd like to dissolve the agreement of the county dedicating the roads to the county, and just let me do it private and do it my way, and also to lift the moratorium on the building permits. And I will go one step farther on that by saying I don't have a problem if the county wants to give a C of O for a house that it does need to have a pavement in front of it. I don't have a problem doing that. But I don't, and I can do the 3.5-inch binder in front of everybody's place on my dime, but I can't do the top coat, which is about $45,000. I still have water. I still have almost $30,000 for the water line to put in. The revenues is not there. The lot 10 was sold. We sold the back 80 when the economy went the other way. We owned that whole property at one time, the whole 132 acres. We owed $605,000 on the entire property, and we ended up selling the back 80 for what the mortgage was on the property. At lot 10, which was in section 2, went with that, so we didn't get any benefit of the sale of lot 10, which is over on the west side, and I think lot 1 and 29 in the front went with that as well, that sale. So lot 11 is my dad's, which he's going to, in a trust that he's going to give to one of the family members at some point. So like I said, there's 7 lots there, and there's only 3 lots that I've been, that I've sold, that I have the revenue to do the, roads and the infrastructure.
Okay, so as I understand it, you're really coming before us tonight to ask us to dissolve the agreement with the county to dedicate the roads to us after that you have built them, number one, correct?
Yes, yeah.
And the second thing you want us to do is to lift the moratorium on building permits in this area because you already have sold 2 lots that you're wanting to build on, or 3 lots?
Yeah,
you're
3
wanting-
lots,
3
yes.
lots
And
you're wanting to
the
build on.
owners are here to speak as well.
Okay, okay.
In support.
I don't really think this is a public hearing, and so I don't know that we're going to call people forward to support or oppose this tonight.
Well,
Actually,
there's no opposed, but anyway.
okay. So at this point, I have to lend to Ms. Parker and our attorney to say, I don't really know what the process might be to dissolve this agreement. I think I might know a little more about lifting the moratorium on the building permits, but until we have a little more information on those 2 issues, I don't know that we can actually take any action tonight. You
Can I speak to that? I guess my question to you guys is, what is the benefit? Why would you guys want that so bad and not release it? I mean, why do you guys want that? Why would she or the county want this agreement or be against dissolving it?
Well, I think the point is that it was agreed to back in 2010, and so we're just trying to follow through on what was agreed to by you or whomever back in 2010. And so we can't just all of a sudden say, oh, no, let's just, lay that aside. So we have to go through the proper procedures to do that.
Well, I don't think there's any adverse effect to it being private, and our covenants are set up for, we would maintain the roads ourselves after I paved them the first time. And there's definitely no tax, anything that would hurt you guys tax-wise, revenue based on property tax, either way. All those houses are $400,000 houses and more, so that's not an issue. Drainage is not an issue. And, I'm just saying that it doesn't make any sense for me to dip another $50,000 out of my pocket to give you guys a road.
Okay. But we've heard your comments, and at this point, I would just lend to the board for comments that they have on what action you believe we might or might not take tonight.
Well, my thought on it, Joe, 2010, you committed to daggone putting in Rose County standards, paving them to county standards. The people that has bought the lots, they expect that now. I mean, that's the thing.
Well, they don't
Whether it's
expect-
county or daggone public, but paved to county standards that was in place, because you're underneath right now, you're underneath the old road standards. While Kevin's underneath the new ones, but you're underneath the old ones. So, I mean, whether it's public or private, you're still gonna be putting them in, is the way I'm looking at it, Joe.
I'll do it at I would do it at my pace. I wouldn't be
I
forced
understand that.
by an iron hand of the government to tell me that I have to do everything right now before I'm gonna get a building permit for these people that wanna build a house.
What's your timetable, east versus west? Because I see you're doing everything in the photos on the east side, but what about daggone on the
I
west
spoke with
side?
Jason Mooney that's here, that's taken 10 years to buy a lot, that's finally bought a lot, and I told him that when he finally committed to doing something, that I would, and by the time he was done, I would have a paved road in front of his house. But I'm not gonna put I got a price for $43,000 from Lynn's Paving to replace that road that we've already paved once. And I didn't get any revenue from Jason's lot ever. Not one time. Kevin Presnell or whoever the previous owner owned that lot, they took the proceeds from that lot, and I didn't get it. So I'm gonna have to take money out of my pocket when he's ready and starts building a house. And that's what I'm worried about him about. I'm not gonna go in there and pave a road, and then he say, oh, I'm not gonna build, and I'm gonna sell the lots worth more money. I wanna take care of the people that are ready to build on the east side of the property first with the money that I have, and do it right. And then jump back over to Jason's side when he builds a house, and, which won't be this year, and pave 300 feet, have to excavate it all out and repave that. My concern is the people that bought the 40 behind that, in between the time that I get that road built and turn it over to the county, if I did, if it would be damaged again. Because you guys wouldn't come in and help me with it. You guys aren't my partner in anything.
No,
So that's my concern on that side right now, is I don't know what you guys are gonna come up against it. The property just sold again, I'm sure somebody's gonna wanna develop it, and they're gonna have all kinds of stuff going over that road, going back to build that. And depending on the time of the year, it destroyed my road up for a second time. And I don't wanna do that until he's ready to build and he's got a house going. I just committed to him that I'd pave it. But on the east side, these people are ready to build. I've already got one started on 20, and the people behind me on the right on 19 and 30, and they're ready to build on 19. And 19 and 20 should have a building permit. There should be no restrictions on building permits for those lots. There really shouldn't be anything on that whole side.
So you're saying that you're ready to put the lots in on, or the roads in on one side?
Yes, I've already got in those pictures, I've got 600 foot of curb up to the level, and I've already talked to Terry Brock. I've had Rod Stafford go out and cut a ditch, the proper ditch that it needs with the proper fall, all the way, it drains all the way around the back. And if anybody knows Rod Stafford, they know he does stuff right, so he went out and did that for me. I talked to Terry about it, he was good with it. So that side is gonna have, and then Lens Paving will be in the next week or so to pave 300 foot of pavement, 3.5-inch base from the existing road on Timberlake Drive all the way to the end of Lot 30 for a 3.5-inch base. Now, what I want to do, the reason I'm not going all the way to the back with that is because Kevin Presnell is going to be developing that back there, and he's not sure what he's going to do at this point. He doesn't know if he's going private, or he doesn't know if he's going with your new standards, but your new standards are breaking. He won't be able to make any money. You know, I've done it before. I've already done it with this property. The numbers don't jive on building, giving the road to the county back there. That's why Rod Stafford and guys like that aren't doing county roads anymore. That's all I'm really, I've been around here a long time, a lot of you know me, and I'm not trying to get out of anything, and I want to do something that I can hang my hat on and say, hey, I did that, but I need to be able to build a house for this guy, and this guy needs to be able to build a house for his wife, and I'm making the proper moves to make that happen, and I'm showing you in pictures that I am and I have.
How long would it take you to complete the roads if you put one side in? What would be your timetable to do the rest of the place?
Well, like I said, it's my concern on the east side is going all the way to the back is how much traffic he's going to bring over on that 40, excavating that. If he has to bail the road according to you guys' new spec, he will have to excavate. That's probably every bit of 2,000 foot of road back in there, I'm guessing. At 26 feet wide, 12 inches deep, he's going to generate, so much dirt, it's not even funny. plus the stone. He'll have 4,000 to 6,000 tons of stone on that for the base, which has to drive over my road that I'm concerned about because I still own it at that point. So I'd rather it be gravel, where I'm not building houses at for now. I'd rather let them guys do their damage, and then when they're done, and he's ready to pave. That was our original agreement in this packet. When he was ready to pave, when he got his roads done, it's in the packet, it was talked in the minutes. When he was ready, we were gonna pave together to save money and do it all at the same time. It didn't happen. I've got people wanting to build houses, and they bought lots, and, you know, Kevin's still on the fence on what he's gonna do with his, if he's gonna try and come to go private, or he's gonna go county. Which I don't see how he would come out if he went county, but that's between you guys. But my concern is my investment, and then I've already went through it once on the west side, having to tear out what I've already paid for and do it again. And with no, you know, if I had 20 lots and I could just say, oh, hell, I'll just sell this lot and take that 40 grand and put it on the road, then I'd feel a little bit better about it, but I don't. Now I'm sticking it in my own pocket, you know, taking, you know, profit from another job to build a road, to you guys' satisfaction. I've got, you know, I'm finally stable enough that I can do it, but I don't think I should have to do it when it's not ready to be done. But then knowing that there's 80 acres behind it, all that traffic's got to drive over for now, and I would rather just leave it, let the two houses and the 2 or 3 houses on the left get built, and I'll pave the road. But I'm just scared to death of those pictures there. In 2018, we had 600 foot of road paved in, and it's destroyed. And now it's going to cost me $43,800 to repair it, so Jason Mooney can build a house that I didn't get any money from the proceeds of his lot on that side. So it's kind of, it's definitely a complex situation. You know, the economy, if it would have stayed good when we bought the property, we'd have developed the whole property all the way through and back to back. We'd all been millionaires, and I don't even know if I live in Morgan County anymore, but it's not what happened. We all know what happened in the economy, and now it's finally starting to come back, but with that has come higher prices in asphalt, higher prices in stone, higher prices in water line, and it's for the proceeds of 3 lots for what I've got to do doesn't match up.
So are these 3 lots all clustered together at the front of whatever this subdivision would be? This is Egbert. Okay.
Okay, so this is lot, okay, so it's all the blue. This is lot 20, this is the east side here, this is the west side. So this is lot 20, that we need a building permit on, and this is lot 19 that we need a building permit on. I'm gonna pave, I've paved from right here, all the way to right here. That's where I'm paving to. I've curved 600 foot of curb all the way up to here.
Far ahead for me. So show me the 3 lots I asked about in the beginning. 1, 2, 3?
Yep.
That's what you're wanting to build on?
Yep.
And
This is my own personal lot. This lot's not buildable, so it's mine. This lot comes all the way to the middle. This is my dad's lot that's in the trust that he's gonna give to one grandkid or something. And this is Jason Mooney over here. This is the one that, this is the road that's damaged from, was replaced.
okay.
Damaged, I was talking about.
so your problem is getting over here.
Pardon me?
Your problem really is getting over here.
Yeah. I mean, I'll get there. I just know, I'll get it done with Jason when he's ready, but that's not my priority right now.
Okay. Suggestions from the board? Suggestions from Ms. Parker, how we unwind this? my gut is that perhaps we need to table this till next month and sort of unwind all the things we're trying to do here and what encumbers those. Right. Right.
Most of the time, you don't have top coats on roads, so that's done when the last section is finished out. So, I get this concern with that. Basically, you're in a situation where if you want to extend relief, he needs to provide you with a waiver that's been filled out justifying why his request. So you'll have something to consider other than this explanation.
Right. Right. Okay, so maybe I need a motion on this, I'm not really sure, but my suggestion is, go ahead.
I had a question first.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, as it relates to building permits, county standards aside, I think you had mentioned earlier the possibility of tying certificate of occupancy for a finished home to having pavement in front of it, which would potentially free up permits to give you capital to put more road in. Is that a correct statement? Yeah. Do you own the home until who finances the home during construction?
I own one that's not buildable, I own one that's buildable at the very back that touches Fresno, and my dad owns the lot 11 that touches the back 40 there on the left, right across from Jason. Well, even if we do, here's another option. Lot 19 and lot 30 need to be approved for building permit now. I believe they have curbs in front of them. They're getting ready to be paved within the next 2 weeks. I don't think they have any issue with me as a builder or me as a developer. And I know that the east side is going to be paved here shortly in the next couple of weeks. So I don't feel like that withholding building permits on that side makes any sense at all. That road, if anybody's, I've invited you out there, Kenny, I've invited, what's his name? Drainage guy.
Harry.
Harry Brock?
Yeah, Steve Brock out. And nobody seemed to have time to make it out there to see what I've done. But I'm pretty proud of what I've done out there, and I'm not going to leave anybody hanging. But I do need to get building permits so people can get started while the weather's good. I think my record out there stands on its own anyway. I mean, that's my subdivision. That whole place was my, I sat out there with Dean Profit on that property before it was anything and negotiated for 2 years to buy that property. And I think I've done a pretty damn good job on what I've done so far. And I'm not going to end it with an abortion at the end. But I don't want to throw money in a hole, just for the sake of putting a road out there when I know there's a lot of construction to come over those roads, possibly this fall, maybe next spring. I'd rather it be this fall because it's so dry, and the spring will really concern me. But my concern right now is getting these two homeowners houses going so they can move in the spring. And that's lot 19 and lot 30 right now.
So my question would be, I think for everybody, would be if the paving happened in 2 weeks, the condition for the lots that would have houses being built on them would match the rest of the neighborhood. Is that
Yes.
correct? So if you pave it in 2 weeks, those 2 lots that you're ready to start building match the rest of the neighborhood in terms of what the road is.
Yes, but make no mistake, we're not, we've turned Timberlake Woods Section 1 over to those homeowners. We're not gonna be Timberlake Woods, we're not with them. We're a separate.
I'm just saying from a,
Yeah, but
the
we'll
road
we'll
would
be in
be there in
harmony,
front
yeah,
of the
we'll be in
lot.
harmony, yes. I built them, so I wanna keep them that way. I want people, when they come in there, to say, Joe Hankins built this subdivision, not, well, he started it, but look what he did there at the end.
My thought with that is if the paving happened in 2 weeks, getting a permit for 2 homes, is that really a problem? It matches the precedent that's already set. Doesn't relieve a duty of fulfilling the final obligation, but the neighborhood's not done yet.
Gotta ask, Jason, how soon are you wanting to build over on your side, the west side?
Buy it, the lot. Okay. Yeah, sure.
So when I bought that lot from Kevin Presnell, at that time of the purchase, him and Joe were working together to build the roads to go back in those back 40 lots as well. About 3 months after I purchased the lot, I received a letter in the mail said that no building permits would be released on the lots. So the wife and I had to pump the brakes immediately on moving forward. I'm not going to buy blueprints. I'm not going to waste builders' times. I'm not going to do anything until I know that I have a buildable lot or a lot that I'm allowed to build on. So that's when conversations with Joe occurred. Like I said, him and Kevin were working together to try to do all the roads at one time, but that's all falling apart. At the end of the day, none of that's my business. They're the businessmen, they're the developers. I'm the guy that bought the $40,000 lot that the only person benefiting from is the farmer who pulls hay off of it. So I don't really care if the roads are dedicated or not dedicated to the county at the end of the day. I understand Joe's predicament financially. I've been talking about buying a lot in there for 10 years, but when I buy, that's my business, not his. But I bought the lot, and now I expect roads, curbs, and everything like the rest of the neighborhood. So, and I can't sell that lot if it's not buildable. So if I did decide that I don't want to mess with this anymore and sell the lot, I can't even do that in good faith because you can't get a permit on it. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Yeah, that brings up another point that my dad mentioned. Those lots have been assessed now at a different rate, quite a bit more than what they are, and they're not buildable. You've got them shut down to where we can't get a building permit on them, which makes them useless. So they're paying, 6 times what they should be paying in property tax for something they can't even build on. So that was just something that he brought up that he thought was kind of ironic that you got a lot he couldn't build on if he wanted to, which he doesn't. But just like Jason said, paying taxes on something that's essentially unbuildable because you guys have the moratorium on it. I would be interested in looking at the agreement as some kind of a waiver or grievance or whatever Laura was talking about, filling that out, if I could get that somehow from her or be directed how to do that. As Jason stated, he doesn't care, my dad doesn't care, and my other two property owners don't care if it's dedicated to the county or not. It will look like county roads, but I'd rather not be. And I think that will help Presnell in the back as well to do whatever he wants to do. That's when you guys, I guess, because I thought he was going to be able to speak tonight, but I guess we're not going to talk about that.
Or what, I'm sorry, go ahead. You were-
Yes, we started. Yep, we dug footers. I talked to someone in your administration, I'm not going to say who it was, that said I could go ahead and start as long as I took pictures and got an engineer to sign off on it. And when I got a building permit, I could turn it in and it would be accepted. I know that. I asked him that and he said, yeah, you don't need one. He said, when you come to get it, you need to be able to show that you put the footer and the block in with an engineer's letter. It's been set by an engineer, the property lines. It's all in there where it's supposed to be. He's actually here if you want to speak with him.
I think we have a very sticky wicket here, to be really
Yeah,
honest with you.
it
I
is.
mean,
It's
well,
very
well, there are
complicated.
lots of things at hand here, and we could discuss this all night. I think we probably are not at a place where we can come to a good conclusion this evening. I think we need to take what you've said under advisement. I think we need to work with Laura to see what potentially a waiver could look like. Dustin has thrown out some suggestions here.
Well, I think on the county roads, yes, but I don't think on the building permits, I think we can make a decision on that tonight, because if it's county road, gravel road, dirt road, it could still be, building permits can still be issued. And I think I've already told you for the east side over there at least, what's going on over there, and showed you pictures of what we've done.
We got it. Gentlemen, what's your thought on issuing building permits tonight and allowing him to go ahead and start construction? Apparently, he started construction on one of them already anyway without a building permit. And so what's your thought on that?
Not much has happened in 10 years. How much more time? That's my big question right there.
I'm sorry, Bill, I didn't understand your question, your point.
This has been going on for 10 years, as they indicated. When's it going to get resolved? And I'd really like it to be resolved. And yet I hate to see people paying on stuff that they cannot use. No matter what we do, it's going to mess up somebody.
My thought was it's not getting resolved, but there was a commitment to pave to the two buildable lots that are ready to go, hold a building permit until that paving's in 2 weeks, and then you got two more houses out there that.
I guess the question with that for me becomes, are we holding him to the standard that we had set on the roads, or are we saying to him, it's okay to build them to lesser standards? I'm asking the question. I'm not necessarily.
I'm not saying change the standards. The standards are still the standards that were agreed to.
I'll help you with.
Hold on a second. So you're saying, Dustin, that you think we should issue the building permits with the assumption that he would build those roads to the county standards as was approved in 2010?
And my understanding is not to issue the permit tonight. It's, you got 2 weeks, so you're gonna pave within.
I don't have a problem with that as long as you commit on the other side, Joe. That's my problem. I'm being very blunt about that. We let you build on the east side, that's fine, it's gonna take them care of. What about the ones on the west? You got one, Jason's got one. I mean, that's my problem.
Kenny, here's what I'm saying. I am committing to that, but I'm not committing to it right now because it's not a priority. He's already said it'd be next year. Plus, I want to see let's get the 40 that just got sold again on the west side. Somebody's gonna be coming to you saying, we want to build 60 homes back here. And you want me to pave a road in front of something that's gonna get destroyed before I can turn it over.
Well, but don't you think there's some commitment if someone came to us to build on that 40 acres, that we could put a commitment in upon that approval that says, if they destroy your road, they are responsible for that. I mean, we've done it with other instances, I believe, that they would be held responsible for that. Does that make any sense?
There not some sort of escrow account or something we can set up, a guarantee, money-wise, where it can.
Well, you'd have to get it out of Presnell, and you'd have to get it out of the other developer for
Well,
me to be
Well,
happy
this
with that.
is just it. If you do that, then I would have no problem issuing building permits.
And if you read the
But you have
memo,
no skin in the game on this road right now. We give you building permits, you sell all these lots, build a bunch of houses, and they don't have one single inch of damn road.
I don't have any skin in the game. You know, did you not hear how much money I've spent already of my own money?
when this
What I'm
is
talking about is, I
not,
know you have that, but I'm saying is, we've had 2 meetings now about that area out there, that the roads were gonna be to the county standards. And now you're coming saying, well, I can't do it right now, I need to sell lots. Well, you have to have a guarantee those roads will be done to I don't even care if they are county standards, but something done that they are gonna be paid. Because I think a lot of that, the one we did for President Hill or whatever, a lot of that was the people that already live up there didn't want, oh, we've got a nice paved road and they're gonna drag
Yeah, I'm
gravel.
not leaving it gravel. I
let's
don't,
go back to this just a little bit. If you go back to your memo brief that Ms. Parker gave us earlier, it says, the moratorium could be lifted if the developer signed a performance and escrow agreement with the county and provided cash funds or an irrevocable evergreen performance bond for 120% of the cost of construction. So there is a remedy here. And she's
yeah,
told us what the
if
remedy
you're a
is.
multimillionaire, there is. You don't understand the bonding process, I guess. I do. 120% of the so $185,000 for infrastructure. You want me to post a bond for 120% of that? That's not possible for a guy like me. I don't even know if any of you could do that. Rod Stafford might be able to do it if he brought his whole friggin' family in.
I'm just saying,
It's not
we have a remedy,
reasonable.
but you're saying it's not feasible.
No, it's not.
But we do have a remedy. Is it possible for the performance bond to be a lesser amount? This is now.
I'm not
I
posting
guess-
any bond. I'm not gonna do it. We did make it to it on the first one. I'm not doing it on the next one. If you guys can't trust me to do what I've already done in the front, then I guess I can file bankruptcy and you guys can figure out what to do with all the roads. I'm trying to do this right. I'm trying to do this so I look good and you guys look good and the homeowners get something nice to live in. But if you guys wanna, drive me in the dirt, then do it.
I don't think it's a matter of trust. I mean, it isn't a matter of trust. And Mr. Maxwell's already pointed that out. We have to have something that says it's going to be done. And right now, the things we have that say it's going to be done are in all of this paperwork. here.
All I'm asking for is,
It's more for the people that are living there now and gonna be living there in the future, that they have a guarantee. Not that we don't trust you.
my dad lives there. My 2 sisters live there. I've got friends that live there. This isn't something that I just built and say, screw you. I got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that property and family that live there. So this isn't something that's just a hobby for me or something that I'm just trying to make money. I'm trying to finish a project out that doesn't have the entire funds to fund it and do it right. And all I'm asking you for is to let us proceed and have some building permits so we can keep moving forward. I can make some money that I can put back into it that I shouldn't have to take money out of on building this guy a house, take my profit from that and dump it back into the road. And all I want right now, and we can deal with the rest of this later another time, is I want a commitment that when I have the payment done for lot 19 and 20, I get a building permit. I've got the curbs done, I've spent $13,000 on curbs, I put stone in, I've graded that road on the east side, and these people are ready to build, and you guys are holding us up.
If it's gonna be paved, I mean, before you're saying you're gonna pave it before they get their building.
The curbs are done now, and now they can put the pavement in between the curbs. And Lens Paving from Bloomington's doing the work.
You're gonna have them doing it when, Joe?
Pardon me?
When's this scheduled to be done?
He said in the next 2 weeks. And he said it may be tomorrow, just if he gets a cancellation, he'll be there before then.
That was my solution, and then you get some pavement, once it's black.
Yeah.
You get a
I don't have a
two
problem
houses.
with that.
I don't have a problem with that, I just, it's helping these folks out, that's true, but you're still leaving one Houghton on the other side, and that's, I just wanna make sure, Joe, and I'm not taking anything away from the development, it's very nice development, I'm not taking anything away, but I know you just said your dad's out of it, and daggone, you dissolved the JTH, and I just wanna make sure that everybody is gonna be able to get an asphalt road that was promised in 2010. That's what I wanna make sure of. Can you tell me that now?
I'm telling you that I'm gonna do it. I told Jason I would do it. When it came time for him to build, that we would put the road in there at that point. We'll also be very vigilant on who's doing something in that back 40, because I don't wanna we've already done it once. I showed you the pictures of that road done, 2018. It's destroyed. Now I've got to spend $43,000 to fix it.
Okay,
For
all right.
one lot.
We've heard, okay, we've got that, all right. Is someone ready to make a motion, knowing that this doesn't make any guarantees for the gentleman over on the other side, but it would allow him to move forward with the 2 lots up front, as Dustin has pointed out. I think there would need to be some written commitments on his part, that he knows that it would only be those 2 lots, and it doesn't necessarily let him off the hook for the remainder of the paving and getting the roads back to the other gentleman on the west side.
I don't want off the hook.
I'm just saying, if you just let us work this out a little bit.
I would make a motion to lift the moratorium on those 2 lots once pavement has been placed.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to lift the moratorium on a building permit on lots. Tell me what those lot numbers are.
19 and 30, right? You're 19, you're 20, and you're 30. No, you're 19. 19 and that one's not ready yet. Let me look at the numbers, because I don't know why Droplet set this property up like he did, but.
The lots 19 and 20?
And then 30 would be next when they're ready to, you told me that was gonna be next year, right? Okay, and then we would just go.
So now you're asking for 19, 20, and 30? No, you're asking for 19, 20. Okay, let's just stop there. So you're asking to lift the moratorium on lots 19 and 20 after asphalt is down. The building permits would be issued.
That's the county standards.
Yes, the binder will be, yes.
Binder to the county standards.
To the old county standards.
Okay, so I have a motion from,
I made the motion, Jason seconded.
okay, I have a motion and a second. Okay, so let's call for a vote on that. Kenny?
Could I ask one more question? Could you include that Joe go ahead and work with Laura and get a waiver on this to go private on the rest of it? But then also give us your word, you're gonna do the west side as soon as
That
it's
will
ready to have
help me do that,
motion.
Okay, so I want somebody to, for your benefit, and because I want to be sure that this goes in the record correctly, could you
May I repeat
repeat?
it? Yep.
Yes, please.
I will make a motion that we lift the moratorium on lots 19 and 20 for a building permit once the binder is installed per the county standards, and that Joe would work with Laura on the waiver to remove county requirements for the other roads. What was the last piece?
Whenever Mooney's ready to pull a permit, he's.
And
able
work
to.
with Mr. Mooney on the pavement on the west side when they are ready to build.
Good with this, Kitty?
I'll still second the amendment.
Okay.
I
Let's
will,
be,
with that, I will.
gotten rid of the initial motion, but we'll amend it. I want to be sure Sandy feels comfortable that she has that down correctly, and you have the record. Yeah. Okay, then I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, I'm not going to repeat this because I probably wouldn't do it correctly, but all those in favor of the motion on the floor with the amendment, please say aye, raise your right hand. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I would move to staff reports. Plan Commission Attorney, nothing from you, and the Plan Director, do you have anything, Laura, that you'd like to add? Okay. Okay. Okay, very good. With that, I would, I'd call for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got it. Got it, Sandy? Whew, what a meeting.
Mark's looking better than he normally does.
Dustin and,
True.
Jason said.
Jason
No,
seconded.
Kenny did.
Kenny, sorry.
What a fun night.
I mean, what a mess.
I've said it many times, that whole thing was a campground, everything, it has been a cluster, you know what?
Yes.
For decades. All room.